On Tuesday, a surprising majority of U.S. senators voted to advance a bill that seeks to end the Yemen War, or seeks to end the U.S. involvement in the Yemen War. The legislation is authored by a bipartisan group of senators: Independent Senator Bernie Sanders, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, and Republican Mike Lee. And the vote was 63 to 37, with all Democratic senators and 14 Republicans voting for it. So again, this is pretty monumental because up until now, the conversation about U.S. involvement in the Yemen war was very subdued. There have been efforts before to at least talk about it. If this sounds familiar at all, it is because these same group of senators, Mike Lee, Chris Murphy, and Bernie Sanders, they brought this resolution to the Senate all the way back in March, and it was completely blocked by the GOP. At the time, at the time, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said on the Senate floor, quote, "Withdrawn U.S. support would increase, not decrease, the risk of civilian casualties, and it would signal that we are not serious about containing Iran or its proxies."
You think them bringing forth this resolution now was strategic, based on maybe certain situations happening with a dead journalist?
Yeah.
Using the opportunity that
Right.
Trump has created.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? To kind of put this out there right now while it's kind of kind of out in the forefront, because it's always been an issue. It's just that it's always kind of taken a back seat. It's been in the background. So this whole Khashoggi thing kind of like sparked more conversation about it. Unfortunately, the death of one journalist did that in Saudi Arabia's cover up, but that's just how it is. And I do think that it was kind of a smart move to kind of put this resolution back in the public eye.
True. And it, like you said, you called it. This did happen because of the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. And it was at this time that Democrats and a lot of Republicans were saying that they believed that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they were responsible for that murder. The CIA reportedly has concluded that it did come from the Crown Prince, the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. Now, there has been some pushback on that. Actually, before this vote, there was a meeting with all the senators, and that included Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. So reportedly, they tried to convey the message to senators that there was no piece of intel that proved that Saudi Arabia actually, well, at least the leaders in Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman and his father, the king, they had no knowledge about this and they did not order it. So they were really pressing that on these senators before the vote. And then after that meeting, there was some word from some Republican senators like that did nothing for Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. He came out of the meeting saying, well, that meeting didn't accomplish anything for me. I believe there was another Republican senator that said similar things. So again, like you said, this was the prime opportunity to do something about it. It just makes it's just a shame that it had to come to this. Before this happened, there have been thousands of civilians killed at the hands of these bombings that are happening in Yemen. And the U.S. has direct involvement in this because they are supplying Saudi Arabia with weapons. They are refueling planes, or they were refueling planes very much. Just until a couple weeks ago. They were providing Saudi Arabia with tactical assistance, things like that. So we definitely have blood on our hands. Just, a couple of months ago, there was a bombing on a bus that killed dozens of children. Like, this did nothing to move the needle.
Yeah.
But Jamal Khashoggi got killed, and these U.S. leaders are blaming it on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And so now, we got to do something about the Yemen war.
I mean, the amount of human casualties has resulted in UNICEF declaring this one of the worst humanitarian crises ever.
Yeah.
And we could
famine, infection,
and
death.
we can kind of focus the conversation on Trump's defense of Saudi Arabia because of maybe some business interests, some loyalty he has for them. But, Will just highlighted the fact that our Secretary of State, along with some military generals, are doing the exact same thing. And who kind of has more authority or influence in regard to, like, I guess, military actions. They do. You know, as much as Trump, you know, pumps his chest, you know, they hold the keys. So if our own Secretary of State and our military generals are kind of co-signing Trump's defense and backing up Saudi Arabia in this one instance of them murdering a journalist, to me, it's not even about that journalist. To me, it's more about them kind of offering cover in this situation so they could, I guess, still remain involved in Yemen.
Yeah. Because, well, look, Trump has told you many times, he has made excuses for Saudi Arabia, for the kingdom, saying that, hey, there's no piece of intel. You know, I have the report. He said he has the report from the CIA. There's no piece of intel that states that they are responsible. They have denied it many times, strongly denied it, just like Putin did about interfering in the elections, all of this. So it just seems like he kind of caves to power, or he caves to what's in the best interest, maybe financially.
It doesn't have to say they were actually responsible.
It does not.
My thing is, you know what does say that? Evidence.
Yeah.
Evidence points to culpability.
And lies do too. Because after the murder, what did Saudi Arabia do? They lied consistently about what actually transpired. First of all, he left the consulate. You know, we have video. No, he left the consulate. Then they got a body double or something like that?
So yes,
then it was because of a fight that went wrong, an interrogation that went wrong. So you lie about it, but we're supposed to believe that you had no hand in it. No, come on, man. Like, just use common sense, and like you said, look at the evidence too. So anyway, this vote that they had on Tuesday, it doesn't mean that the U.S. is going to pull out of this Yemen war, out of this Saudi-led coalition, and stop providing tactical assistance and all this. Doesn't mean that yet, because as we reported many times in the past, this resolution wasn't about that. The resolution was about having a debate on if we should be involved in this war or not.
It's not even really a war resolution or a Yemen resolution or
Not
Saudi
yet.
Arabia resolution. It's more a conversation resolution.
Yes. And
That's like the
finally,
first step.
yeah, and finally they were able to advance this step so that they can get to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly optimistic, but any, I guess, push of the needle in the right direction is a good thing. I do think it should go further, though. I guess once we get beyond this kind of resolution that involves a conversation, at least, I think we should, I guess, take it a bit further and demand that Saudi Arabia get the hell out of Yemen and immediately remove that blockade.
Oh yeah, you know that's not going to happen.
Like if we really, or how about no more arms sales? Like if we're truly going to do a 180 on this, you know what I'm saying? If that's the goal.
You remember the statement that Trump, that long statement that Trump, what was it about? What was it? It's the subtitle was America First. That's what it was. And it talked about the strong relationship that the U.S. has with Saudi Arabia and all of the job opportunities that comes from it. And of course, that means,
I think
the defense contractors, the contractors.
I'm not sure if we highlighted that on the last show, but the amount of jobs is not even that much.
No. It's not enough to turn a blind eye to civilians
it's not
being
about
murdered.
The jobs. It's about maybe a few people that are at the precipice of these defense contracting companies and corporations getting buku bucks.
Yeah.
I don't even like saying that. Buku. That's about as worse as your greenback. Word.